Run It Studios is the home of the Run Radio podcast and runradio.net, a podcast and station about the relentless, resilient, and innovative types, inspiring strides in life, business, and beyond. Welcome back to the Run Radio podcast for Run It Studios. My name's Trina Wilcox, and my guest today is a woman that is keeping busy at lots of speaking engagements, known to her company, Wishing You Well in Life. Shauntel Murphy, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, Trina. Thanks for having me.
I love it. So tell me a little bit about your background and what brought you to the space that you're in right now.
My background is I was in the corporate space for about a little bit over 2 decades. I worked in corporate America, and I was serving the C-suite executives, onboarding them, getting them together, implementing the mission and the values. And I really had a phenomenal ride. I was able to work with some outstanding leaders, and then I was able to work with some toxic leaders. So during that space, I just really mastered what worked and what didn't work in leadership. And I really saw that the true good leaders were almost becoming extinct, Trina. So I really wanted to do something to change that. So that's when I created Wishing You Well in Life. And the term wishing you well, that's a term of endearment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what my gift is to the economy. And so I do work with executives, I work with Fortune 500 companies, and the term of it is that by me coaching them, I'm working with leaders with their essence of who they are as a person, and then we switch it to who they are professionally. So as an executive coach, I have almost 20 certifications, and I compile that with my 2 decades of knowledge. And so individuals are able to hack into me, and it's not what would Shauntel do, but it's per se what I think they would do if they had the knowledge that I had.
That's a lot. Like the thought of going, I mean, being in corporate and then deciding to do your own thing seems kind of scary. Was it scary at all for you, or was it just a natural evolution?
Absolutely, but I am a risk taker. So by me being a natural risk taker, it just seemed like the only thing to do. And by me being people centric, and I really do have that compassion, that's my first level of servitude, is to actually serve. So I just felt that it would be more complementary to who I am, and I don't want to have any regrets.
Oh, that's great. Well, at Run It Studios, the basics are talking about running things, whether it be running your life, your fitness, your career, your business. So, how was it for you to be running this new thing and then running, your home life?
Well, that's a great question. Once I first started, I was completely consumed with me getting the certification so that I would be able to be looked at as that expert in this field, because leaving corporate America and then starting something else, it's like, okay, where does she come from? Like, she just boop, she just dropped out of nowhere. So who is she? We want to learn more about her. So the thing about it is that I really had to run myself like it's a marathon. I had to really pace myself and be strategic about what I wanted to do and how I wanted that to look like. And by wishing you well, of course, I have to wish myself well first. I can't call myself being able to empower others and I'm not empowered myself.
Hmm.
So definitely just finding that sweet spot with home and then with my new mission. And to a certain extent, home did have to take a back seat, because when you are creating something, it's a lot. It's labor induced. It's like I'm laying out the concrete to a new road for people to now drive through. So laying out that concrete, that really did take some time, but finding that balance, I'm still coming into that as it's still growing and growing. So I'm finding that balance and really just letting it be known that this is not what it's going to be like forever.
Yeah. And you touched on something a little bit. When people do go off and do their own thing, they're entrepreneurs, having the credentials or having the work to back up that you are knowledgeable in your field and that you can give back. What did it look like? You said that you had to get some certifications. What other things did you have to get in place, laying that groundwork for people to trust in you as the expert, to have them come in and help with their entire corporation?
Yeah, that's a great question because a lot of my peers who are in the coaching space, they may just utilize just their natural talents and they say, "Hey, I'm a coach." You don't need to get certified to be a coach. But
Hmm.
with me, I wanted to have that certification. So when I went to get the first certification as a master life coach, I got intrigued by wanting more. So it was like I want to be able to meet all layers of life of different clients because we all have unique needs. It's not just a one size approach. So what that did look like was me going to school, me taking seminars, me going to different classes, me looking into not just practices here, but Eastern methods, Western methods. What are they doing here in this area? So it's more like a global practice approach. Meditation. I've never been a meditation person before, but I see the power of how meditation can work. You don't necessarily have to be on a yoga mat and be in a Zen mode, but it is healthy to start doing those approaches, especially since we have the term called burnout. So, what I wanted to do is I wanted to be able to utilize my expertise within the 2 decades of firsthand real knowledge and then compile that with the certifications so that really gives me a unique hybrid blend that's really unmatchable.
You kind of used air quotes when you said burnout, but can you talk a little bit about what people can do to recover from that as fast as possible? Because a lot of people hit it hard and are burning out fast.
That's so very true. And you know, the thing about it though, Trina, is that by me working, I used to work in healthcare. One of the things about it is I like to get to it before it is classified as burnout. Let's bring it a couple of phases before it reached that part where it's just fatigue. A
Yeah.
lot of us are absolutely suffering from decision fatigue. So when you feel yourself overwhelmed with just this decision fatigue, media fatigue, life fatigue, that's the moment where you want to take a step back and assess what is it. Put a name on it. What
Mm.
is it? I classify it. Is it work? Is it meetings? Is it the commute? Put a name to it, and then once you decide what it is, now let's see how we can address it. I always like for individuals to come up with three simple solutions on how they can address that problem, and then start to meditate. Start to have a hobby. Start to have an interest. If you like to bake, then put that into your system a little bit more because we can't be overloaded with things that we have to do, but we have to also too feed into us. It starts with us as a human need. Sometimes if we start just doing everything else, that sends a bad message to ourselves, like we're not important, like we're just supposed to just do all this servitude unto others, but before we can give to others we have to give to ourselves.
I think you said something very valuable, and that is naming it. I think a lot of times we just shrug our shoulders and say we're tired and don't try to pinpoint it down. So how can you ever solve it with those three possible solutions if we're not naming it?
That's right. And sometimes when you do name it, you have to say it out loud. Say it
Oh,
out loud and say what it is, give it a name, and then that's how you can address it in real time and do it head on. And then that way you're able to take the actionable steps to fix it right away. Not one day, but this is day one.
very good. What does a typical day look like for you? I know you have speaking engagements doing that you're doing, you have one-on-one coaching, corporate coaching. So what does one day look like for you?
One day, for example, it might look like me going into my speaker association meetings. I attend those meetings religiously, and then after those meetings, usually I might be doing a TV show, a podcast. I'm here doing a radio show with you today. I'm working on my content. I always like to put in that creative time. Then it does evolve with me doing some mentoring, with me doing some coaching. I might take some ad hoc phone calls from some of my clients. where they're checking in with me, they're giving me a report about how something went very well, and then it kind of goes back to me taking care of myself, making sure that I am doing my exercises, making sure that I am eating, and not just eating where it's like I'm eating in 15 minutes, but I'm actually just taking the time out to be in the moment.
Mhm.
I like to take different walks. I like to be able to just have that time where I'm just in tune with myself and making sure that I'm checking in on myself. Like, how are you doing today? And we always can have those honest conversations with ourselves. So I think that I do work a lot, but I also am in tune a lot, and then have that time where I am available to my family. Because if I'm so obsessed with my own self, if I'm not here for my family, then that's kind of like no good. So I want to be able to still be a role model and influential for them as well.
Talk to me about hustle culture. I feel like, as someone that values hard work, wants to be a hard worker, I think we've kind of abused the term hustle, and hustle culture's turned into this thing where we brag on people not getting sleep and taking care of themselves. How can we turn that around as a culture and make sure people are still doing hard work, but they're not abusing themselves and others in the process?
Right. Yeah. I had one of my clients say, yeah, I only got 2 hours of sleep last night. And it's like, no, that's not good at all. See, the thing about it is this: when you are in hustle mode, that's great. But the term hustle is not meant to be forever. It's not meant to be a 8 hour thing. You're supposed to hustle in that moment. You're supposed to be intentional with what you're hustling for. What are we hustling for? And then put a limit to it. Are we hustling to get these phone calls because we're in marketing and we need to hustle up and get these 400 phone calls or these 4,000 phone calls? If everybody does a little bit, nobody has to do a lot. So we might be able to hustle within that moment, but the hustle is not meant to be 24/7. That's just unrealistic, because what happens once again, we're sending bad signals to ourselves that we don't matter and that something else is supposed to take full presence over us. And that's just not sustainable. So I'm a hustler myself. I'm a Christian first, I'm a hustler second. So the thing about it, with that being said, is what am I hustling towards? I put what the goal is, knock it out the park, and then I'm done. You have to be able to set that time limit, and then also too, always squeeze in that time for you to decompress. You have to. And I'm not talking about a 15-minute break. 15-minute breaks, that really doesn't work. So I'm talking about squeezing in that full hour or that 2 hours, or really, if you are in hustle mode for 4 to 6 hours, then the rest of the day just really chill out. It's okay. The work will be there, but you won't.
Do you have any advice for the employee that wants to do what you're talking about, but they don't have an employer, a boss that supports that? They think that they should be able to wrap up life in 15 minutes.
I think that, like, one of the things is that with employees, like, you always have like the time where you are able to do like an employee survey or like an employee feedback box where you're able to put in those notes, or you might be able to talk to your boss one on one in your meetings, if it's monthly, quarterly, or however that cadence is. But you have to be transparent. Talk to your boss and have that heart to heart conversation on what you think may work. You're the one that's doing the job, so no one else can tell you how to do that job or how to process map that out. Only you can. So come to them with some feedback, and when you do come to them with the feedback, once again, provide three solutions on how they can change things around. So you're not just bringing them a problem, it's solution oriented. And also say, this is not just for me, but this is for the team and the teams to come. This is what the streamlined approach is going to look like, so that you can reduce turnovers, so that employee engagement surveys are able to go up, so that this can be a healthy, harmonious culture. Once you present it to them like that, I mean, all they can do is just say, let's run a trial and then see how it goes.
Good stuff. You've also been spending some time putting your knowledge into a book. Talk to
Yes.
me about what that's been like.
It has been a fantastic ride. Trina, not everybody can work with me and I can provide coaching services with them one on one. Not everybody's going to be able to see me speak on a stage, but now everybody has access to me through a book. So the name of the book is called Influence Yourself in Leadership and Life. And this is almost like a survival guide because it teaches one how to be self reliant, how to rely on yourself, and how to have that bold approach. Because when you're doing something different, you're going to be outnumbered. You're not going to be liked, but people will be taking notice and then they're going to be taking some notes. So I really do talk to people about the essence of following your true self. Like I said before, we don't send the right signals to ourselves. And a lot of the times we have all these external factors that might be influencing us and we don't even know it. From the moment we wake up and we're on our phone, we're on TV, we're listening to the radio, our community, our church, our family, we're being influenced in more than one way that we know it or not. So I really want individuals to take a closer look in here. Once you can stand up in here, then you can stand up out there. And one of my favorite chapters is called Knuckle Up because that's what you're gonna have to do. You're gonna have to fight. You don't get thick skin overnight, but the skin it thickens as you are in the fight. Right now, I always like to call business the battlefield because it is. You have a lot of chain stores that are falling apart right now. You have a lot of companies that are going out of business right now. There's a lot of layovers. It's all this hysteria going on everywhere. But when you are following your mission, when you're following your internal values, you're going to have to fight for that. You won't have to fight for long, but it will take that moment. So it's like a survival guide, self-help. It's like an analysis so that individuals can stand up and be courageous because we can't have good leadership and good people become extinct out here.
No, absolutely not. I want to talk to Shauntel, the writer, for a moment. So, with all of these other things going on, like so many other writers or aspiring writers, how did you find the time or make the time, carve out the time to get the words out of you onto paper, your screen, and continue to work well with every other thing that you are committed to?
The thing is that it actually took me the longest time to come up with the title. That's when I had the writer's block. So it took months before I was able to come up with the title. But once I came up with the title, the words just started to come out from there. And what I usually like to do is I usually like to write at night when the world is quiet, when everything is nice and calm. And that's when everything was just getting channeled to me. So just really being intentional with my time. I just mapped out some time on my calendar, but also too when things were coming to me, I would grab my phone and I would start texting things to myself like, okay, this is the name of a chapter. This is the name of this. I might be at a restaurant and I get a napkin and I start writing out things right then and there. So it's almost like as the concepts and the creativity were coming to me, I would take down the notes, but then pretty much at night, that's when I would just really just get into it.
So, did you wait until you actually had a fully formed title before you actually started writing the chapters?
Correct. Because
Really?
in my mind, I have so many things to talk about. There's
Yeah.
just years and years of experience of things, and then compiled with the knowledge. I really wanted to be strategic about how I came out and what I could do because not everybody will be able to get a one on one session, but within the book, now you kind of have an idea what it's like to partner with me as I do give out inspirational quotes. I do give out insights on different leadership styles. I do give out different types of philosophies and different types of stories on how it has to serve us at one point in time. Trina, I just don't want for anybody to leave here with the empty experience.
Hmm.
And if you're not being true to yourself and to your mission, that's what you'll have as an empty experience.
Do you feel like you've got another book in you with all that knowledge?
I got another one in me. I'm knuckling up out here because it's just so much more to say. I feel like when I was writing the book, I didn't almost know how to come to an end with it. So it's like it's at a pause, but there's definitely a lot more to be said.
Let's talk a little bit about the publishing route you chose and why.
I chose to do it on my own because that's what I'm a champion for is for us to get it done on our own. So I can't tell somebody else to do it on their own and then I'm not doing it on my own. So I did write the book on my own and I went through Amazon to do self-publishing and it was not easy. At one point I was about to lose my mind like, well maybe I need to get a publisher. Well, now I see why people bog out and why they pay people to do these different things. But I said, you know what? I can research it and I'm going to learn how to do it. That way I can be able to teach others how to do it. That way when somebody else is stuck, I can remember my days of being stuck with it as well too. I think that helps me to become a good teacher is because I've actually been through the process myself.
Man, it sounds good. It sounds like we all need a Shauntel in our corner for sure. I love it.
Absolutely.
Uh, Tell me, are you thinking of doing a book tour or anything like that right now?
Yeah, I would love to do a book tour right now. One of the things that I am doing is I am, putting it out there on different platforms and also too just being true to my number one calling as a coach is still working with my clients respectively, helping them with some things, and they are making some phenomenal progress. So I think once I'm able to get wrapped up with that, then I will start to launch and go from city to city and really shake some hands and meet some different people.
It sounds great. All right, tell us where we can go to learn more about you, set up some coaching, find your book, all the good stuff.
Yes, please go on Amazon and the book. Here's the book right here. It is called Influence Yourself in Leadership and Life. And the author is me, Shauntel Murphy. And you can find the book there on Amazon. And then I just like for people just to send me an email. My email address is Shauntel. That is Shaun as in Nancy, T as in Terry, EL at wishingyouwellinlife.org. And in the subject line, you can put run radio, and then you can just give me a quick summary of where you are, where you want to be, what's some of your goals, and we can just have a conversation. I don't sell people on anything. I just like to talk to people and help them so that they can win. So we can start with some small wins and then partner together for some bigger ones.
Sounds great. Give us a tip before we close. Give us the number one thing action point we can all start doing to make ourselves better today.
To make yourself better today is take out that time for yourself. Don't just eat your food, enjoy your food. Don't just go outside, take a walk and be one with nature. Enjoy the moment. We are always preparing for what's ahead of us. No, no, no. Let's just enjoy the moment, but better yet, enjoy yourself. That's
I
it.
love it.
Show yourself some grace.
Thank you so much, Shauntel Murphy, for taking some time. When you've got that next book ready, please come back and we'll talk about that too.
I will. Thank you so much for having me, Trina.
Yes, thanks. You can watch more videos, listen, whichever platform you prefer when you link over from runitstudios.com.